Good morning. Good morning. Welcome, everyone. My name is Leah. I am on staff here with the Emerging Generations team. We're glad you're here this morning, and those of you joining us online, welcome as well. Just a note, however you're feeling today, the human you are is welcome here in this space. I know our community has been going through grief and loss with the loss of Jonah Wynn. And that's what happens sometimes, how you feel when you... So we just want to say we welcome how you feel, and I know even some of us are in that with you, and we hope that we can just be in a space and community and togetherness today. I don't see these on the table, but if you are a new attender and you would like to fill out a card and get connected and more information, you can let me know after the service. We'd love to find ways to connect with you. And lastly, I am going to invite Michael Erickson up. Is he still in here? There he is. Michael's going to come and read our scripture for today.
Genesis 1:5, 1 through 5, 2, 4b through 7. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. But the earth became chaos and emptiness, and darkness came over the face of the deep. Yet the Spirit of God was brooding over the surface of the waters. Then God said, "Light be," and the light was. God saw that light was good, and God separated light from darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness night. Evening came, and morning followed, the first day. At the time when Yahweh made the heavens and the earth, there was still no wild bush on the earth, nor had any wild plant sprung up. And Yahweh had not yet sent rain to the earth, and there was no human being to till the soil. Instead, a flow of water would well up from the ground and irrigate the soil. So Yahweh fashioned an earth creature out of the clay of the earth and blew into its nostrils the breath of life, and the earth creature became a living being.
So today we get to experience Creation Care Sunday together. Next Sunday is Earth Day, but you might have heard of the big thing called Gulick Lectures next weekend. So we're going to focus today on creation care and get to explore some of that together. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to the band. Feel free to stand as you're able and worship with us.
Paved paradise, put up a parking lot with a pink hotel and boutique and swinging hot spot. Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone? They paved paradise and put up a parking lot. Shoo, bop, 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 bop. Shoo, bop, bop, bop. They took all the trees and put them in a tree museum. And they charged the people $1.50 just to see them. Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone? They paved paradise and put up a parking lot. Shoo, bop, 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 bop. Shoo, bop, bop, bop. Hey, farmer, put away that DDT now. Give me spots on my apples, but leave me the birds and the bees. Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone? They paved paradise and put up a parking lot. Shoo, bop, 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 bop. Shoo, bop, bop, bop. Late last night, I heard a screen door slam, and a big yellow taxi took away my old man. Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone? They paved paradise and put up a parking lot. Shoo, bop, bop, bop. Oh, bop, bop, bop. Don't it to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone. They paved paradise and put up a parking lot. Oh, they paved paradise and put up a parking lot.
All right. Good morning, church. It's good to see everybody here today. Blooming and growing inside, even though it doesn't look so much like that right now outside. There is green under that white stuff, I'm pretty sure. But it's good to be here with all of you, and this is the time of our day where we head off to God's Garden, which, for those of you who don't know, God's Garden is our time that we spend, birth through fifth graders, being in community, singing songs, playing games, making fun art stuff. Learning about Jesus and all of that good stuff. And we're excited to do that today. And so how that works is we will sing our God's Garden song, and I'm going to invite all of my friends who are playing over there right now. If they want to come on up, it's time to sing our God's Garden, the song. The band is going to play it twice through. We'll sing it twice through, and then we'll head off to God's Garden. Awesome. They are coming up. We have a lion, a tiger with us today. Oh, it's awesome. Super. All right, band, are we ready? Ready. Let's hit it.
Come, oh come to the garden. Gather round, come without fear. Known by name here in God's garden. All are welcome here.
You're all together now.
Come, oh come to the garden. Gather round, come without fear. Known by name here in God's garden. All are welcome here.
Yeah, give them a round of applause. All are welcome here, and we love all of you here today. Friends, right now, what we have to do is, as loud as we can, on the count of 3, we have to say, "Hi, church!" On the count of 3, can we do it? Yeah. Okay, yes, we can. 1, 2, 3. Church, I need you to say as loud as you can, "Have fun, kids!" 1, 2, 3. Have fun, kids! We will. All of my pre-K friends will go with Miss Ainsley right there out that side door. And then all of my K through 5 friends will follow me, and we'll go out our back door over there.
It's like always hard to follow that. So great. And so as I said, it's Creation Care Sunday. So for our Breathe In, I want us to just start to explore this theme a little bit. Immediately when I was thinking about this, I thought about weeds, right? We're coming up on the season of lawn care. And I grew up on like 2-3 acres of like some lawn, but a lot of woods. And we were never the family that cared about what grew in our yard. And then on the other hand, my uncle had like the most pristine lawn. And so I was thinking about weeds and how we call them weeds, but really every single weed actually has a name and actually is a plant. And so I think it's really interesting when we look at that perspective, right? Why do we call something a weed, or what does it mean? And I read a book called Braiding Sweetgrass. If you've never heard of it, it's an incredible book, really studying the scientific greatness behind plants from indigenous people. And I wanted to share, to kind of get our brains thinking about creation care and how we interact with that and our spirituality by just reading some quotes from that book this morning. So, action on behalf of life transforms. Because the relationship between self and the world is reciprocal, it is not a question of first getting enlightened or saved and then acting. As we work to heal the earth heals us. The next one is, knowing that you love the earth changes you, activates you to defend and protect and celebrate. But when you feel that the earth loves you in return, that feeling transforms the relationship from a one-way street into a sacred bond. And the last, to love a place is not enough. We must find ways to heal it. And so I really think as we dive into creation care and exploring what that means today, I think it's the perspective of looking at a weed, but like why do we call that a weed? What can it actually mean? And looking at ways of the creation that actually take care of us, and how is it a two-way street and not us just dominating over that creation. So I'm going to give you a few minutes at your table to just kind of start with these questions. Number 1, has nature ever brought you healing? And 2, what motivates you to care about something? Go ahead and take a few minutes.
Kentucky, where my parents were born. There's a backwoods old town that's often remembered, so many times that my memories are worn. Daddy, won't you take me back to Muhlenberg County, down by the Green River where paradise lay? I'm sorry, my son, but you're too late in asking. Mr. Peabody's coal train has hauled it away. Well, sometimes we travel right down the Green River to the abandoned old prison down by Adrie Hill, where the air smelled like snakes and we'd shoot with our pistols, but empty pop bottles was all we would kill. Daddy, won't you take me back to Muhlenberg County, down by the Green River where paradise lay? I'm sorry, my son, but you're too late in asking. Mr. Peabody's coal train has hauled it away. Then the coal company came with the world's largest shovel, and they tortured the timber and stripped all the land. They dug for their coal till the land was forsaken, and wrote it all down as the progress of man. Daddy, won't you take me back to Muhlenberg County, down by the Green River where paradise lay? I'm sorry, my son, but you're too late in asking. Mr. Peabody's coal train has hauled it away. When I die, let my ashes flow down the Green River. Let my soul roll on up to the Rochester Dam. I'll be halfway to heaven with paradise waiting. Just 5 miles away from wherever I am. Daddy, won't you take me back to Muhlenberg County, down by the Green River where paradise lay? I'm sorry, my son, but you're too late in asking. Mr. Peabody's coal train has hauled it away. Mr. Peabody's coal train has hauled it away.
All right, community voice time. Yeah, a lot of thoughts going through my head as we're thinking about this topic, and even as Michael was reading the verse from Genesis. I think historically, when I became a Christian in high school, you really didn't talk about creation at all. It was very much about like my personal relationship with Jesus, and I think how even within congregationalism, our church, Meeting House, when we think about love God, when we think about love others, that just really shows up differently in all of our lives. Spiritual practices, what we focus on, our personal gifts and passions, and our spirituality ends up ideally complementing one another. Ideally, we all kind of add to the same mix as unique individuals made in the image of God. And I think I kind of think of it the same way when we think about creation care. When we're talking about our relationship with everything around us, our neighborhoods, vegetation, plants, this whole planet. I think in the same way we're going to kind of gravitate towards different issues, gravitate towards different ways of showing up. I think even in my own personal circles, like when we talk about that, maybe some of you have a green thumb and you have a garden and you like to tend your garden, and like what a great feeling it is to make a salad with your own crops, your own like tomatoes, your own cucumbers. I know folks in this room have chickens, and how great is it to take care of the chickens you have in your yard, and you get eggs from them. I have friends, they try their best. The only meat they eat is the meat that they hunt themselves. And there's this very like kind of a spiritual experience, thanking God for providing this nourishment to them and their families. All these different ways. And even in that verse that Michael read, we see it's like, it's built into the creation story, right? It's not just like God created the planet, put people on it, and it's like, all right, dominate everything around. It's like, no, the spirit, the breath of life was put into us to till the soil, to take care of the planet, to be connected to all of it. And then the other two dots that kind of connected in my brain was like, when we talk about spirituality, when we talk about experiencing God, again, like some folks, it's very much like in your quiet time. Maybe it's on a walk. Maybe it's when you're praying. And I think a common theme, too, you hear people talking about, man, I heard God through the people in my life, right? People talked to me and maybe challenged me in a certain way, or maybe they told me they were praying for me a certain way. I felt the love of God that way. And we know those around us were created by God. And I just thought it was interesting that, like, yeah, I guess that never clicked for me. If God also created everything around us, that would make sense that sometimes when I'm on a lake, sometimes when I'm hiking, sometimes if I'm just in my yard working in the soil, that can be a spiritual experience. That could be God kind of working in our lives, and yeah. So those are some. That's my 2 minutes of sharing of where I'm at on the topic of creation care. And so here's how it's going to work. There's a few prompts I'm going to give you. So when you come up here and you think about creation care, a few questions you can consider. You could talk about what do you do in your own life? What are some things, practices you do maybe around creation care? It could be around engaging with creation or nature, maybe just sustainability, climate activism. So that could be something you do now. The second question is more about that aha moment. Was there a moment in your own life where you rethought how faith and creation care are intersected or integrated? Maybe it was something you never considered until a conversation, a walk, a conversation, or did I say that already? A book you read or something like that. And then the last one is more aspirational. Maybe there's something you would hope to do in the future around any of these topics of sustainability, engaging with nature, climate activism, creation care. So we're roughly going to give about 15 to 20 minutes for this. I think the only guideline I give is, as you feel moved, like this is for anyone and everyone in the room, just come up, grab the microphone, maybe introduce yourself. I don't think everyone knows everybody in here. And then maybe try to take roughly 2 minutes, no more, so that we have as many people as possible. A little built-in accountability. If you start to get towards that 2 minutes, you go a little bit over. I'm going to sit right there, and if you see me go like this a little bit, that's me very gently being like, oh, maybe wrap it up so we get more people up there. If you ignore this and keep going, I'm going to stand up and go like this. And then I want everyone in the room to start doing this too. And then you're going to get the hint that maybe you should wrap it up. Don't make us do that, all right? So just kind of keep your eye on the clock. We do have a clock right there. So with that said, this is our time. This is our community. So I invite whoever would like to start to go. Yeah, is this a question? You want to go first, Brad?
This is an actual question.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Going on a limb, maybe I'm the only one that had this question, but could you give me a baseline definition of what creation care is?
Yeah.
I'm kind of getting caught between environmentalism and creation in the Bible kind of story. What is the baseline for that?
Yeah. I think the biblical foundation is the verse that Michael read. Yeah, great question. Great question, Brad. I think the biblical foundation is just that verse that we read from Genesis, where like the order, light and then darkness, and then the sky and the waters, and then vegetation and the animals, and then humans, and then you almost see that directive that the breath of life was put into humans to take care, to till the land. So I think that's like a kind of like a basic definition of creation care. A word that we've talked about in Emerging Generations, we've talked about this word of rada, which is also a concept that comes in the Bible. And kind of the nudge we give them is when we think about like dominion over creation, where it's like hierarchical and we just take and, you know, whatever we need, we'll just take, versus like dominion with. Kind of like the quotes that Leah was reading, like if we can tend to creation around us, there is kind of a healing, like reciprocal, kind of all those examples I gave, like having a garden and for some people, it might be environmentalism. It could be advocating for policies. It could be et cetera. So again, leaving room for how individuals want to embody it in their own spirituality. Hopefully that's helpful. So would anyone want to get... Brad's giving me a signal. Would anyone like to go first? The microphone's on, so you don't have to fiddle around with it. Thanks, Tina. Gold points.
Is the mic on? Is the mic on? It's on? Okay. I'll kind of bounce off that idea of what creation care is. I can get really close. Yeah. So this week, probably like a lot of you, we were finishing our taxes. And in doing our taxes and hanging out with our accountant and thinking about property, right, and property taxes. And I, this week, was thinking about the book of Leviticus in light of our property taxes. And so in Leviticus 25, a little bit prior to that, we have God setting up the rules for his people, right? This is how you're going to rule. This is how you're going to take care of foreigners in your land. This is how you're going to take care of the animals. And then in Leviticus 25, God starts talking about how you're going to take care of the land. And so first we have this introduction of the Sabbath year. So every 7 years, you're going to let the land lie fallow. You're not going to, put your crops into the ground. And in fact, that we have this connection, right? So when the land lies fallow, everyone who is in need gets to take from the land, right? So it's not just for the benefit of the land, but it's also for the benefit of those who are struggling. And later, so the Sabbath year, land lies fallow. If you are a farmer, you know that that's actually good for the land, that it doesn't deplete it of its nutrients. Andrew's going to give me, I know it's going to come real fast here. And so later in Leviticus 25, we've got Sabbath year, land lies fallow for the benefit of the land. And then there is this, it's Leviticus 25:23. And God says, remember that the land is first mine, and you are but my tenants. And I think about that so often, especially as we think about the terminology of capitalism and ownership, right? We're property owners, and we call ourselves that, and I think about that often, and I so easily adopt the language of capitalism. And so I keep on coming back to this verse, and so even this week I came back to that verse, and Leviticus 25:23 says, right, you're but my tenants. And then the next verse says, if you do possess the land, you are responsible for the redemption of the land. And so I think about that often. What does that mean, right? I'm a suburbanite. I have we have our little piece of property. And so I just have been reflecting on that as I think about my taxes and being a property owner. And so one of the takeaways here, in terms of a moment of transformation, is to really make sure that my language about even my own land reflects not the language of capitalism, but actually the language of the biblical text. So thinking about how God intended for us to have this relationship to the land. So that's what I've got.
Hi, I'm Bob. I'm one of the custodians here, and I also own an organic lawn care company, and I've done that for about 37 years. And what I've learned, well, show of hands, how many people have creeping Charlie in their yard? Yeah, look at that. And how many people have dandelions? Okay. Well, weeds are Mother Nature's way of healing the soil. She doesn't like what we've done with this landscape. My table just heard this. She wants it to return to an oak savanna. And there's problems in the soil. The soil is sick. So she uses weeds to heal the soil. And so what we do in my business is we help that process. If you leave the process alone as it is, in 1,000 to 10,000 years, the dandelions and other weeds will change the physical composition of the soil, and they'll change the chemical composition, and it will become a grassland. So I don't have that kind of time. And, and really none of us do when you look at it on a larger scale. So, you know, we've created an artificial ecology, and you know, the Bible tells us in more places than what was mentioned that it's on us to repair this. It's on us to heal the earth, and part of creation is each other. So a lot of the healing that has to take place is between people, so we can unite in larger and larger groups to take on this problem. So it's when you get right down to it, climate change is a spiritual problem.
So Andrew prompted me too, so I did think about this in advance. So my mother was a great gardener. She had this big garden outside, and she loved plants inside. There were so many plants in our house. In fact, she almost divorced my dad when he took it upon himself to prune her ficus tree, and it almost died. It was not a good scene. Anyway, so she's this great gardener, and my mother would actually talk to her plants and touch her plants. And as a kid, I'm like, okay, this is a little weird, but okay, Mom, you know, just a plant lady. So that was that. In college and in grad school, I had a couple plants, mostly cactuses, because I was a little distracted, but I had some plants, you know, they were in there. But it wasn't until we moved to a house that I actually had a room for a garden, right? And that was about the time I had a baby. And I started realizing it with my babies, like it opened my heart up to really understand what love was in a different way. And it started making me think about how God loves us in different ways. Like you just experience love so differently, at least I did, when I had this child. And that was about the time when I started gardening. And I started realizing, whoa, I'm having the same love feelings for my kids as I am for like these little plants that are coming up in spring, and that I'm watching and I'm tending, and I'm, you know, I just started having this like love relationship with my plants. And it kind of made it dawn on me, oh, that's what my mother was doing. And it's like, if I feel this relationship with the plants, God does too, you know, and it just kind of like made me realize, whoa, love is so much bigger than just between me and my baby, or me, you know, I don't know. So that was a little rambling, under 2 minutes, but it just like, there's a lot going on with the plants, and I think the more we relate to them as entities that God and us both like love and nurture, it's just, it's awesome. Okay.
I wasn't planning necessarily on sharing this, but I will. At our table, we talked about nature, and my wife and I, Susan, have been empty nesters for 30 years, so we have been blessed, been able to travel and seen magnificence, as we appreciate Minnesota, but seeing magnificence of natural nature, of the 7 wonders of the world for like Petra, et cetera. But this week, something happened that I think will be interesting. We are also blessed in owning a home in Big Sky, Montana, which is, for those of you who've skied Big Sky, it's beautiful there. It's on the Gallatin River, mountains all around us, less than an hour from Yellowstone Park. And we have a home there that we rent frequently for subsidize our retirement income for Airbnb. We get year-round business because we're Yellowstone. And we've loved this house our kids love it. It's going to be left in our family. And we take care of the house, but we don't necessarily take care of it well enough, because what happened this week, you may have read there's been lots of snow this week in the West. And we've had record snows in Big Sky, including the village center, which is 5 miles from the lifts, but we got a lot of snow there too. And you know what snow does onto homes? It piles up on the roof. And our son was there last week, and he said, I noticed a little bit of leaking in the laundry, which is in the garage. And he left. We had new guests coming in on Sunday, and they said, for some reason, your garage door isn't working. So I said, well, you better park your car out inside so you don't have to worry about the door. On Monday, they said, you have a problem more than your garage door, because we noticed that half of the roof of the garage has caved. And then they went skiing, and then about 2 hours later, I got a call from the Big Sky Fire Department saying, you need to know that your whole garage has collapsed. And we're going to ask the guests there, they have to move out of the house because it may have jeopardized the whole house. So, quite a wake-up call. So anyway, we were fortunately able to get the guests out, and the whole process of dealing with the heat, the electricity had to be shut off. All of a sudden going from, okay, so I have more than 2 minutes, but the metaphor here, and interesting that I got a contractor, and he said something. He said, people don't realize you mow your lawn and you fertilize your lawn to take care of it. But you also have to realize that you may have to do other things that affect your environment, like shovel snow off your roof or get it. And I never thought of that. So I think the metaphor here is we have to take care of things and be aware of things and if we don't, we're going to have things that collapse in our lives as well. Well, I wanted to share that. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Ben. I've been coming here about 2 months now, I think. I live over on the north side of Lake Hiawatha by the golf course there, and in South Minneapolis, so for people who don't know where the Hiawatha golf course is. But a couple weeks ago, we had coyotes running around on the golf course. We had 4 of them running around in the tennis court. And when we were out walking that weekend, we stopped to talk to almost everybody, if they had a dog, make sure, there's coyotes around here. And talk to neighbors we had probably seen a million times walking around, because we're sort of right by the entrance to the walking path, which is nice to think about the way nature tends to bring people together. And there's all the jokes about talking about the weather when you have nothing else to talk about, but I think there is something that really creates an opportunity for people to share their experiences. But it also made me think about the fact we were talking about these neighbors, these like 4-legged, like feral neighbors, more than we'd ever talked about our human neighbors and the way that we're like, how are we going to accommodate these coyotes? What's going to go on? What are they going to do with them? But in my mind, if we're going to really be good stewards of creation, we have to think about how we're all living together, and that takes probably some sacrifices for a lot of people, and how we design and decide to build our housing and our transportation and just the way we really live our everyday lives. Like, we can all commit to changes that are going to make a difference in our own yards or our own energy use. But if we're going to really make a bigger difference for our kids and their future generations, we got to think about how we're all doing these things. And it's so much easier to talk about coyotes than, people for some reason. So it brings us together, and I think also challenges us to think about more stuff. Thanks.
This is very low. How do you do this? Do you? Wow. Do I drop it then, or? All right. Oh, that's how it goes. I thought you drop first and then okay. So when thinking about what I'm going for here is how do I engage with creation and nature, and I think our day-to-day lives. Okay, 10:21. I'll keep to 2 minutes. Promise. Our day-to-day lives, we have more control over anything now than any part of humanity in history. We have science and advancements that allow us to be able to cure things that we didn't even think of. You put them in an infirmary and they would pass away peacefully. Anything. We have roads, we have technology, all this stuff. There's more control over nature, so to speak, now than any other time. And so I feel like that instills, at least within me, anxiety, more anxiety around things that I can't control. And feeling like, oh my gosh, like everything is so more taken care of now than it used to be. So when things aren't taken care of, it feels a little more uncomfortable. We don't have a callus, it's more raw. And so when I feel when creation gets me more attached to my faith, is thinking in terms of like looking out into outer space. Anybody remember Carl Sagan? He's an astrophysicist that popularized the study of space. And he had there was a picture of Earth from the Voyager satellite that was launched, years and years ago. And it was looking back at Earth. And it was a tiny blue dot. It was a pale blue dot. And it's that picture that kind of helps me feel, and other pictures like that. Like there's another picture by the Hubble telescope that took a picture of a tiny little piece of space. It looked at that tiny piece of space that to the naked eye just looked like nothing. It looked like blackness. And what did it show after looking at the tiny piece of space for 2 days? But just this wonder of galaxies that are light years away. All this stuff that's out there that really shows us how much control we really have. It puts all of our troubles in proper context and it allows me to feel both at peace and curious and I guess a certain amount of acceptance of what I can't control, more so than perhaps, maybe kind of what earlier generations did feel like when they had less control, more relative to what we have today. Anyways, that's that.
My name is Tom, and I come from 4 generations of farmers in Becker, Minnesota. And my dad turns 80 this year, and I was just visiting with him last night. And he just got back from a 2,000-mile trip that he takes, visiting all the relatives in Colorado and Arizona and California and Wyoming. And we were talking last night, and he said, Tom, do you know how long I listened to the radio on the trip? And I said, I don't know. He said, oh, probably about 15 minutes. When it was snowing, he needed to get the weather. I said, well, okay. Did you listen to a lot of music? No. I was raised, and to believe that God created everything, and it's our job to enjoy it. So I'm driving up these mountains, and I just can't wait to get over to the hilltop to see what else God has created. And that kind of stayed with me, that we celebrate something by paying attention to it. And it's just nice to see my dad, always being in that state of wonder and amazement, just driving silently for 2,000 miles and just celebrating God's creation. So just want to share that with you.
Hi, my name is Pam, and I'm here with my granddaughter, Peyton. And I just wanted to share the story behind my pet therapy dog. She was the one that talked me into sharing one of God's creatures. And we went to school, and we now go to Melrose, which is an eating disorder hospital. And it's not me, it's my dog that goes to each and every one of the children that show up. We sit on the floor in the hallway, and they just come, and this dog taught by God, goes from one child to the next one until every single child is and feels loved by this little four-legged animal. And that's God, not me. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Chris Marshall, and I wanted to share something. I just had the blessing of being able to go to Maui last week, and well, 2 weeks ago now. But anyway, we watched the humpback whales there, and the thing that was most impressive to me about it is the story that they were down to about 2,000 of them because of man hunting and other reasons. Anyway, the part that was a beautiful story was that their population now is up to about 20,000 plus. And what I wanted to share about that was, as people, we can make a mess, but we can also clean it up. And I think that that's the beauty of that story. I also thought about the song Yellow Taxi, and they mention in there the DDT. And that's another amazing story that the eagles were almost all gone, and they got rid of DDT, and all the eagles have come back. So another thing. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Kelly. I think for me, it's been so much fun with my kids, just like showing them nature and showing them like what my son's first grade teacher says is God's wild beauty. And all of our trips are planned around going to some national park or going camping. Getting emotional because it's just so fun to show my kids what God has created. And I hope to remember that forever.
All right, thank you to everyone who shared. Y'all did really great. We never did that before. I was like, either no one's going to talk or one person's going to talk for 20 minutes, even though we all go like this. You guys even made like an impromptu line over there. You guys got organized. Okay, as we breathe out, I want to give folks maybe a few more minutes to talk at their tables. If you had a story to share and just couldn't quite get out of your seat, that's okay. We're gonna watch a quick video. It's a poem written by our own Bob Dom, who shared earlier. And quick plug, Bob does a lot of work just in his personal and professional life around creation care. He's got Organic Bob Lawn Services. And then here at church, too, we have a creation care committee, task force, I don't know what you guys are called, ministry, crew. We have a creation care crew. If you've seen honey here for sale at church, we have bees. They take care of the bees. We tap the sap from the trees to get maple syrup. Bob was talking about how weeds help replenish the land, and they've been really intentional about having native flowers around our pond. So this is what the Creation Care crew does, and so if you're interested at all, just connect with Bob and just kind of projects they're doing around church. All right, well, with that said, here's Bob reading Elements.
I was wondering how to bring a message about creation care and what that means to me, how to immerse myself in the spiritual side of nature. So all those reflections came out in the form of this poem called Elements. Elements. Let the air nurture me like a bedsheet on the line as it drapes, swells and flickers across my face and arms. Your water shall gently care for me, with soft rains falling, bathing the earth like a mama cat bathes her kitten. You set the earth to feed me. Daily I am created from the soil, and my soul is fed by the awesome majesty in the natural world. This earth was made by you, for me, for us. It is a place for love. Creator love for the created and creation, and we become part of this cycle whenever we love.
Thanks, Bob. So for the next few minutes, I invite you, for just the next few minutes, why don't you turn to the folks at your table, share if you were going to share, or we have a couple more prompt questions. Nope, that's from a different Sunday. All right, just share what you had to share from the earlier questions.
He was born in the summer of his 27th year, coming home to a place he'd never been before. He left yesterday behind him. You might say he was born again. You might say he found a key for every door. When he first came to the mountains, his life was far away, on the road and hanging by a song. But the string's already broken and he doesn't really care. It keeps changing fast and it don't last for long. But the Colorado Rocky Mountain High, I've seen it rain and fire in the sky. The shadow from the starlight is softer than a lullaby. Rocky Mountain High, Colorado. Rocky Mountain High, Colorado. He climbed Cathedral Mountains. He saw silver clouds below. He saw everything as far as you can see. And they say that he got crazy once and he tried to touch the sun. And he lost a friend but kept the memory. Now he walks in quiet solitude, the forests and the streams, seeking grace in every step that he takes. His sight is turned inside himself to try and understand the serenity of a clear blue mountain lake. And the Colorado Rocky Mountain High, I've seen it rain and fire in the sky. Talk to God and listen to the casual reply. Rocky Mountain High, Colorado. Rocky Mountain High, Colorado. Now his life is full of wonder, but his heart still knows some fear of a simple thing he cannot comprehend. While they try to tear the mountains down to bring in a couple more people, more scars upon the land. And the Colorado Rocky Mountain High, I've seen it rain and fire in the sky. I know he'd be a poorer man if he never saw an eagle fly. Rocky Mountain High, and the Colorado Rocky Mountain High, I've seen it rain and fire in the sky. Friends around the campfire and everything's alright. Rocky Mountain High, Colorado. Rocky Mountain High, Colorado. Rocky Mountain High.
I'm way over 2 minutes today on talking. Okay, so announcement time. If you're here last Wednesday, thank you. We had a food packing event, and we ended up packing. This is an actual announcement, but I just want to throw it in there. We packed 22,000 meals worth of oatmeal that's going to CES, Every Meal, and Veep. It was great. We had a packed house. We had like 10 tables worth of folks, both young and old, packing food for that. Today, after the service, we have a get-to-know meeting house, kind of casual gathering. It's in gathering room 1. Basically, it's just a chance to ask questions about Meeting House. Like you heard, for some folks, you've been coming for decades. Ben was sharing, this family's been coming for 2 months. So if you have any questions about Meeting House, the history, our values, what we're up to, check that out in Gathering Room 1. You've heard this referenced a few times today. Gulick Lectures are next weekend, okay? We have a guest speaker, Jeff Chu. We have a panel all around this theme of winds of the Spirit, just being church in a fractured world. The main speaking session and the panelist conversation is on Saturday. And then next Sunday, we have one service over in the Meeting House sanctuary room with Jeff Chu as our guest preacher. You can still register for the event, so make sure you do that online. April is a busy month, and we're going to end it with our annual meeting. That is on April 30th. If you're not familiar with annual meetings in Congregationalism, we have one every year. It's kind of a chance for the lay leaders and leaders to give kind of a state of the state. What have we been up to this past year, as well as where do we want to go moving forward. It is also an opportunity for the church to have a voice and vote for the next year's budget, vote for next year's committee members, etc. So that is on the 30th. There is childcare available, so families, please join in. And with all things, check us out on Facebook, sign up for the newsletter just to hear about all things going from week to week. Wonderful to be with you this morning. Have a great week. Take care of those around you. Take care of everything around you. And we will see you next time.
Super fun.